Welcome to the Dickie and Donny Show, presented by your host. I am Donny. This is Dickie. I am Brandon. He is Shawn. But we're Dickie and Donny to you. We are presented by Business on Purpose. Business on Purpose exists to liberate business owners like you or your friends from chaos so you can make time for what matters most. That's why we are here. Right, Dickie?
That's why we're here. And I actually got a good friend of mine from college. Sent a group text of my screen for random reasons, and they saw this little picture in the background, this Dickie and Donny, and they said, "What in the heck is hanging on your wall?" And I said, "Oh, let me tell you about the best hangover podcast you've never heard of that now has its own Spotify link so you can go directly to the Dickie and Donny show." And he said,
right.
"How did I not know about this?" So I might have won over a new listener yesterday.
Man, and those of you listening, the millions of you are like, do you really care about the one listener? Yeah, we chased down that one listener because that
Yeah.
one listener could lead to more. And
Yeah.
those more could lead to many. And those many could lead us to traveling the world on a Dickie and Donny circuit, drinking Diet
Liberating,
Coke,
liberating
drinking
business owners.
Spindrift,
Spindrift,
Diet
drinking
Coke,
Spindrift.
Spindrift. What are our other sponsors? Self-proclaimed,
What else did
alleged
we want?
sponsors.
Mod Tub,
Toyota,
Spindrift, Tundra.
Mod
Yeah.
Tub, not just trucks, full-size trucks, all
Yeah,
types of
not
full-size
S10s,
trucks.
but big trucks.
I'd rather be sponsored by S10. So
Chevys,
Chevy and
American.
GMC, S10 and Sonoma. If y'all can bring that back, that'd be great. I know you had the Canyon in the Colorado.
My dad has a Colorado, and he bought
Really?
it, and it's like burgundy. And I was like, man, I don't like the color and I don't like the size, but he loves his truck and he goes fishing in the Outer Banks and freaking loves
Rock
it.
and
It's
roll.
like living life,
Rock and
man.
roll. I love it.
Well, what are we
Well,
talking about today, old Donny?
I tell you what I want to talk about is how a small airport in Wisconsin closes in the middle of the day. And when you show up and the doors are locked and you don't know what to do, and you're in the middle of the Midwest and you meander your way into a podunk bowling alley 2 p.m. in the afternoon because it's open. And you sit down and have some spotted cow beer with the owner of a bowling alley while he outdrinks you at his own
Shout out to
restaurant, at his own
Larry
bar.
at Larry's Lanes.
Larry's Lanes. It wasn't Larry's Lanes, but I like that. That was my story yesterday. An airport was closed. Doors were locked. Couldn't get in. TSA was shut. Doors. There was one chair by a vending machine, and
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be that guy. So
This is like
that's
me
what
in
I want to
Saranac
talk about.
Lake in January, where I was like, what
Yeah,
kind of airport is this? Like, it was amazing.
I love it. I love it. Well, I think what we're going to talk about today. I just spent time out in Wisconsin, and I was with a big builder that I work with out there, and I was talking to some of his leadership team, his project managers, his foreman. They self-perform all their work, and they were asking questions because they're not in our coaching all the time. And the one thing they don't have like of a sight into is any of the numbers
Hmm.
of what things look like. They know generally what things cost, but they don't in the numbers. And I shared with them the when I started with this company a couple of years ago, they were at 84% cost of goods, right? Making 10, 15 million, whatever it is.
A little high
Um,
for a custom builder. Yeah.
not out of not
Not,
alarmingly
not
high, but higher
exceptionally high.
than
Right.
yeah. If I'm working with someone new and it's 84, I'm like, okay. Well, now as of this year, all year they've been running at 78%, which
It's
is
amazing.
to inform his guys of the difference that makes, right? On a $10 million year, that's
Let's see, 10
600
million,
grand in your
6%.
pocket,
Yeah.
600 grand in your pocket without doing
Mhm.
any more work. So I'm
It's
just
beautiful.
that has resonated with me. And what I'd love to talk about is what are 5 ways that we can lower our cost of goods without the obvious, which is raise
Right.
our prices. So
Right.
what are 5 ways to lower our cost of goods without raising our
So
prices? That's what
you
I'd
want to
like to talk
increase
about.
profit by doing these five things, not increasing
Now,
your top line,
correct.
increasing your gross profit, your net profit, making more money with the same amount of work. Efficiency. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I love. And I actually think it'd be of value to define some of those terms because I realize
Okay.
everyone looks at profit differently. So when you say raise your profit, what are you talking about, Dickie?
So in a standard P&L, most of our people use QuickBooks, and you've got all of your money that comes in. This is receivables, is your top line revenue, how much money you make. And then you pull out your cost of goods, which is your cost of creating what you do. So it's either a cost of goods or a cost of product that it takes you this much money. So as a builder, you're sending money to your cabinets, your floors, your materials, your people, your labor to do the thing. And then
Yep.
That's you've got your gross profit, which is then you have to take your operation expenses out, which is your tools, trucks, your toys, your people, your rent, your internet. And so that after you take all that out, then you have a smaller number, which is net profit. And so our
Yep.
goal is to have more net profit, not because we're greedy, but because we want to run really efficient businesses that make money
Healthier.
and
Yep.
do good things. So
Yep. One of the quickest filters for cost of goods, and this is very clear for construction. I've worked with some retail and it worked there too, of anything that's directly related to your product. So if I don't have this job, I don't have to hire that roofer. Therefore, that roofer is a cost of good. If I don't have this job, I don't have to pay for the material or okay, great. That's directly related to that job. I know for my retail, it was, man, if I don't sell this product, I don't have to buy this product. So she was a double markup. So if it's a $50 item that she pays for, she charges 100. So for her, we did a 50% cost of good where everything she made, she just took 50% of that right off the top to repurchase another item to go sell. So it's
but if
directly
you've got
related
a
to your job.
But if you've got an assistant, an engineer, a project manager that you're paying no matter what, that's going to be
Yep.
your operation expenses. So you got
Yeah.
two different types of labor that goes away if the jobs dry up, and labor that stays no matter what. Or your goal is to
Right.
keep people on no matter what, right?
Yeah, that's right. And that's a whole nother podcast to go through and talk through how do we start billing our people directly to the job to view them as a cost of good. However,
Mm.
they're not, right? How do we bill this person's time that they're spending into the job so they're actually paying their salary for it? That's a whole nother topic to get crafty there. But let's look specifically at our cost of goods, right? How do we
Okay,
get our cost of goods down without
great.
simply taking a $5 million house and just asking 6 million for it? That would take your percentage
All
down.
right, so give me your five things so we can
All
tease
right.
people along, in a really
Ooh,
good
I
podcast
like it.
way.
I like it. So the first one is going to be improving your estimating accuracy, your estimates in your bids. That's number one. Number two is your vendor and sub relationships, vendor and
Hmm.
subcontractor relationships. Number three is reducing your waste, reducing
Great.
your waste. Number four is
Hmm.
change orders. And then number five, job costing. Start
Mm.
looking at it. Start actually watching it. That's the fifth way that I think. And none of those require you dropping overhead or raising prices. Those are all things we can do internally that will all affect your cost of goods.
Process related, just doing good business. Love it.
That's right. That's
Okay,
right.
so estimating, what does this look like? You've got a big bidding accuracy template up now. I don't know if you want to have that up.
I do. Well, I pulled this up for a reason, right? And this has been with
Yes.
us this whole time. This is a client that I have, and he does, bathrooms, kitchens, and full remodels and all that. And his cost of goods seemed to be higher than he thought it was, right? So he thought it was, call it 80. And
Hmm.
with when we started tracking his level two dashboard with his cash and what his bank accounts were doing, 80% of his dollars was not enough to cover his cost of goods. So what does that tell us? We're at a higher cost of goods. So I said, well, man, let's go look. The first thing I want to do is let's look at how accurate our bidding is. So what he does, this client, is he goes to a job, looks at everything that's required, says, I know to move a bathroom, my plumber typically charges me, call it $3,500. Great. So I'll charge about 5 grand for that. And that's how he bids. And then at the end of the
Hmm.
job, his people send him the bill and the homeowner only had the price he originally had. So I don't hate that way
So
necessarily.
he's a fixed bid contractor. This is the
Yep.
price.
Fixed bid
If
contract.
if
Yep.
if he blows his budget out of the water,
It's on
the
him. Yep.
homeowners or the
Yep.
client is just paying what they've
Yep.
agreed to pay. Okay, it's not cost
Which
plus, which would
right.
be right. Okay, got it.
Which cost plus is a little easier to manage as long as you're on top of your game. It's a little easier to manage your cost of goods because it's the plus. But for a fixed price, what he doesn't do, he doesn't get bids either. Like he doesn't bring his electrician to say how much would it cost you to do this. He just says, I think it'll about be this. That's how he
Wow.
does it. So this was really helpful because I took his last, call it 7, 8 jobs, and I said, great, give me your bid amounts. And he
Hmm.
gave them to me. This is what I bid the client for plumbing was 18.9. And then he
Hmm.
went back to actual invoices and said this was the actual cost. So
Okay.
we
So
were
there's
able to
some
see
legwork
like
there. It's not free work.
uh
It's work to do.
yeah, yeah. And we realized that these were the margins per trade. That was where we were looking because I'm like, man, if we just need to raise like if you're throwing numbers out based on what you think it's going to be, let's just see if we can get more accurate with what you think it's going to be. So we got to go back and monitor it. And we did this for all these jobs and found out that plumbing, he's at about 32% of margin on that. So his cost of goods on the plumbing of his bid or whatever is he's 68% of that. is what it costs, and he's making 32. I think we said anything above 30 would be fine. And you can see the total on this job was 22.6, which I think even that is like good enough. Like he's making money. It's not what he wants. And we found, tile, he's doing really well. Painting, he's making a killing. Framing, he's making a killing. So I'm like, hey, if you find work where it's just painting, might be worth like going
It's a
for
great.
it, or framing. But electrical, he's only at 5.7.
Mm.
Huge red flag there of, hey, we are not getting our money back in electrical. Like this one where he had 28.14 in electrical is something, but like, he bid 32 and it cost him 46 on this one.
So I
So
have I have a question. Is that his whole profit? That there's no management fees baked into
nope,
his estimate?
nope,
So
nope.
that is the cost that he is incurring to one, take on risk and
Yep.
do this job, and two, to do
Yep.
it well. And okay,
Yep. And
that's
that
a
is, he finds it easier on his end to sell the job if he doesn't clearly show a contractor fee. With his market, he's like, people hate that I'm paying myself, which is stupid, but that's what it is. So
right.
for him, it's a heck of a lot easier to just show the numbers, and he builds this in, which is why we need a certain margin. And overall, he's doing pretty well, but drywall and electrical, he's just getting killed. So I'll stop sharing now, which is something I
Mm.
haven't done this whole podcast. That's that first way, is let's just look at what we're bidding and make sure we're accurate. And if that means like a custom home, you bring in all these people, you get 3 bids, you like, it's a little easier within custom home. But man, if we can just get a little bit better at what we're bidding and making it a little bit more accurate, that can help our cost of goods 2-3% right there. So
Beautiful. Yeah.
that's one way to do it.
Great. Estimate. Great. Number two, vendor sub relations. Do you have the relations?
That's right. Do you have the relations with the people? That's the real question, right? So
Right.
I think there's value in having multiple subs for different things, and subcontractors and vendors and all this, but having that relationship, especially if you're a fixed bid, to know, hey, I don't need you to estimate it, man. I got a 1,400 square foot house. Generally, what's that going to cost to paint? Probably around 5 grand. Cool. That relationship that you have will keep that person closer to that 5 grand, right? So there's these relationships, and just spreading, having multiple subs and treating them well is just really, really helpful, because they're going to be slower to gouge you on price. They're going to be quicker to help you out. Just like you, if you have a realtor that gives you all of your jobs and they need
Totally.
something in a pinch, you're not going to charge them extra because they give all their work to you. Great. So these relationships are important. That helps way more than people think with our cost of goods percentage. Just simply having relationships with contractors or subcontractors and vendors. They're just quicker to help you out. There are good people out there. There really are. And them knowing you want to be in a relationship with them really helps.
I mean, that's such a big deal. I mean, if you're a general contractor, who's building your house? Not your team, usually. Your project
Right.
manager, superintendent. It's just a management. You're managing this degree of detail, the finishes. You're a high level, what's the word I'm looking for? Just coordinator of making sure
Court
money,
general. Yeah.
yeah, getting the money in the right place, the people in the right place, the materials. But the people that are doing the work are your trades, your subs, your vendors. And so if you want to have a better house, why not you got to have better
That's right.
trades. You're
That's right.
yeah, great.
Helps a lot. Yep.
Love that. Number three, reduce waste. How do you reduce waste?
This kind of goes to the bidding accuracy as well, but it's not so much the price. It would be on the material. And this depends also. Sometimes when you get a subcontractor, they manage all the material. They say it'll cost me $3,800 to do this whole job, and you don't have to worry about material. But if you're using a vendor, and this would work a lot with specifically, you think of a subcontractor, right? I work with some flooring and countertops. Well, if you have me, if I'm measuring this whole kitchen and bar setup, and I need countertops, and you want it all to match, well, do I need to buy 2 slabs from France, or do I need to buy 3 slabs? Because they're
Mm.
$30,000 a slab. So I need to know what I'm working with. And one, getting accurate and what you're working with is really helpful, so you don't buy extra material. But also knowing, like, how do we maximize what we can buy? That just is cheaper, because if this guy buys 3 slabs, he can't return a slab. So
Right.
he needs to
We
get
can't
better.
repurpose that unless you build a
But
spec
you,
house.
right. But you
Yeah.
could also, like, and I know not everybody's in countertops, you can also go to a vendor and say, hey, do you have any sort of like return policy? Like, if I, like,
Mm.
you build that relationship with them, and to say, hey, I'm doing this, I think I need about 25 sheets of plywood. If I only use 20, what can I do with the other 5? And a lot of times vendors will be like, yeah, we trust you, just bring them on back. Or we'll buy them back for 90% of the price, and you'll take a little hit. But you think of your cost of goods, you're buying all that. If you can't return it and you have waste, your cost of goods eats that, and your business eats that, and your percentage will rise
Yeah.
quickly.
When I was a production builder, we'd have framing packages delivered all the time, but we'd also have framing returns. And so the leadership used to get on us to say, hey, if you have a package delivered, check your houses around the area and say, hey, I've got, over here on lot 10 or lot 11, can you pick up those extra studs and 2x6s, get some money back for that? And,
Hmm.
there were little things that made a big difference
Yeah.
in the cost. So that was pretty cool.
Even 1%, you think of having a $10 million annual revenue book of business for a year, even 1%'s $100,000 in your pocket at the end of the year.
Crazy. That's a
Like
crazy number. Yeah.
1%. So if that means I call a couple more vendors to talk about, hey, I'm noticing I got a lot of extra brick done when I'm with these
Sure.
jobs. I want the security of having it, but what does it either look like to order less and get it quicker if I need it at the end, or to have a return? Just knowing like your waste of material can be huge. And yeah, you can might be able to repurpose it, but there's the management. Well, now we got to find a place to store it, and our warehouse is
Yeah.
taken up by all this extra material. You don't want it. So
Totally.
what do we do with waste? That's
One
another way to
one of my
manage it.
clients is a total hustler and he's Chinese and he flies to Hong Kong every 6 months
Oh my
and he'll
gosh.
buy 300 door slabs because he's a commercial restaurateur and it's always the same kind of door. It's got to be fire rated and he'll get shipments of door slabs and then he'll hang the doors and trim them out and put them in the restaurants. But it's a way that he's able to um,
Love it.
he knows he's going to have to use those at every restaurant he builds. I got another client that's doing this, and I just coached him yesterday, and they were saying they want to build this vendor sub pricing list, and he's gone to certain vendors to say, "Hey, I buy a ton of concrete, I buy a ton of block from you. Can I get better prices?" And the people are like, "Yeah, I'll knock off $20, I'll block $100, whatever it is per unit, and your good relationship. It's pretty cool."
I love it, dude. I love it. Yeah, that being mindful of that being mindful alone can change your cost of goods, let alone even acting on it. Just being mindful of what's
Yep.
happening.
Yep. Great. So estimate better, build good relationships with your trades, reduce waste, look for opportunities to get, return products and just get better margin on products. Four, charge for change orders, you said.
Every single time. Period. End of story. Stop giving people their change orders because you just want to get the job done, or because you just like the person, or that $2,300 faucet kit is not that big of a deal. You're setting a trajectory that will kill you. Like it
Oh,
is the every time. Now, I have a couple builders that get creative and they throw into their budget a $10,000 change order allowance. And it's like that seems like a sales pitch, but it's in there. And it's like, okay, you can get around it that way because you can still manage your cost of goods around that. But
hmm.
if you have a job and it comes up and someone's like, hey, I actually want this to look this way. Yeah, we'll do that for you. No problem. It might be no problem. It might not be. You don't know. But man, you
So do
can
they
lose
state
so
that
much
there's
money.
$10,000 to the client, or do they just keep that in their back pocket and know they've got a little bit?
I have a couple to do it both ways, where they'll
Okay.
just know in their mind their budget. We got $10,000 to give. Try to change order, but man, if it's something where it's like we're gonna lose a lot of relational equity charging for that, and it's
Hmm.
within 10, throw it in. We'll budget that in. And there are
Wow.
some that just tell their people, hey, if we can get this in the ground, I'll give you $10,000 to $15,000 worth of change order credit down the road, and we'll just fix it for you. Like we'll handle it because stuff's gonna pop up, but like it's going to be
Hmm.
really hard for us to make that decision now. So let's wait the 8 months it's going to take to get there. And you can see your house and then you can change it later if you want. And they just budget in an addition somewhere else. They just budget in an additional 10 to 15 grand. But stop giving away change orders without budgeting for them. That will kill your cost of goods.
Wow. I've got so many horror stories talking to cost plus builders who
Yep.
have not accounted for their labor, their time and their hours. And I just talked to one yesterday. She said, "Oh, I found $16,000 of unpaid costs of labor." And I said, "Well, send the bill. Even if they're not going to pay it, you better send the bill to try to get it." I had one client, this is the wildest story, found $1 million, a million,
Million.
seven figures of our accounting was total shite, and we missed all this. And he had to go back to this client and say, "Hey,
Hey,
these are," and he
sorry.
recovered, I think, 850 of it. I was super proud of him. It was
Yeah.
nothing I had done to help. It was more just him being attentive and realizing, wow, we've had 20 years of bad accounting. We should figure this out. And then realized that one of the most recent jobs had totally lost money. And he was like, this is going to make a difference.
Dude, that's the perfect transition into key number 5 to lowering your cost of goods.
Number five.
Look at your cost of goods. Do job costing. Go back and look at your numbers and just see what are we doing? Because you can pull a P&L at any point. Not a bad way to do it each
Mhm.
month. Pull a P&L and just see generally what are we spending. Also, subdivided bank accounts is so good for this because it tells us the story.
Yeah.
That's how we took this builder and we didn't take him anywhere. That's how we revealed to this builder he was at 84%, which revealed to him opportunities to lower it throughout 2 years. And now he's at 78. It's a game changing difference. And it's because we were looking at it. Job costing is great, right? This bidding accuracy template is job costing for a smaller level. I don't want to say smaller level, he's killing it for someone that is doing a high volume of work, right? A
Right.
high
Right.
volume of $30,000 to $50,000 jobs. If you're doing 3 6 to $8 million homes a year, job costing looks different, but that's what it is. It's just going through and saying, here's our budget, here's what we actually spent, and we have to look at that. Just put your glasses on and look at it. That alone will help your cost of goods because if money's melting away, you'll see it. You
Mhm.
feel it, but you don't know where, so you don't know what to do. But if you see it, you can make an action to actually go and change it. Whether it's okay, I got $1 million. That guy felt $1 million before he found it, and then you were like, it's in the labor we didn't charge for. Well, now you
Well,
see it.
hell. Yeah.
We had a guy
No.
claim one time. He's like, man, y'all's dashboard like made me bankrupt. And it was like, our dashboard revealed that you were bankrupt. So like you revealed it
You
now
guys
as
started
opposed
paying
to
attention to my
you're
finances
done.
and I'm broke. No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's just, but the fifth key is just watch it. I would recommend doing all of these before you ever raise prices because you are in control of all of these and you'll find you don't have to raise prices, which will make you more attractive to the market. Right.
So
So
you've got a general profitability of the business. So a P&Ls may give you kind of a general profitability. It's not going to tell you about your cash, but it'll tell you about,
that's right.
if your business has, value. Then you've got a cash position. You can measure cash profitability. And then you're saying
That's right.
profitability of jobs. So there's
Yep.
different, what would
Job
you
by
say is,
job.
what's the frequency of how often you want to review that, or how does that get reviewed in a leadership sense?
I think that depends on the nature of your work, like your scope. Because if you're
Mhm.
doing big commercial jobs that take 2 to 3 years, it's going to look different than if you're doing a house. Like high production builders are building a house in 6 to 8 months. Like, okay, that's a lot more often. But if it's taking us 18 months, right? I think it depends. I have some that they have their process with job costing is that they track it at benchmarks. So they track, okay, there's 7 to 8 benchmarks they use, and that's how they draw. Like a lot of businesses will do that where they
Right.
draw at certain benchmarks. Okay, we got the foundation laid. That's the next draw for the framing package. Okay, then we got framing. Now we got rough, whatever it is. If you're a builder out there and I screwed up that pattern, I apologize. I'm not a builder myself, and just work with them all the time. But they'll use a benchmark to say, okay, let's go see what we job costed thus far. And sometimes some benchmarks you don't need to. I like to do it at the accumulation of a job. We've got our final check. Let's go see what we did. And I think you can have it set up in a way that's pretty easy. It's not super time consuming if you document really well. I don't think doing it at the end of the year is like that helpful because you can't. What do you do then? What do you find out at the end of the year that you could like? I like
Also, you're
doing it
trying to go on
repetitively.
vacation and get out of
Yeah.
life for a bit. So, like, end of the year is the
So
worst time to do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I do think like one at the end of every job is
Right.
helpful. And I really
After
like
action
doing it at
report.
the benchmarks. I really
Yeah.
like doing it at the benchmarks because then it gets you 6 to 7 per job. So you can
Mhm.
realize, hey, we got
You can make
your
adjustments as you're going. You're not having to make
yeah,
huge sweeping
that's right.
changes.
I was going to
Right.
use your term of shite and say we got shited on in that first phase. So we either need to like recoup some of that or just we don't have any room to mess up from here on. And it
I
changes the
was
way you
just
approach
thinking
it.
if I say I get done with my, mechanicals, I do an assessment. Well, then
Yeah,
I've got another bid going out next week, so I can use that information. So instead of waiting 6 months,
that's right.
I'm doing a monthly review. It's going to help me progressively and not just get to the end of the year and say, "Oh, we need to change everything," and then your employees freak out. And yeah,
That's right.
do you think you could run a home building company? Do you think you could be a home builder?
What am I
Knowing
getting?
what you know.
What do I get on the front end? Do I get a certain amount of money to hire employees, or am I on my own to start?
I don't know. I just mean like Donny Builders down in Bluffton. Donny Builders, you're going to start building barn dominiums in the country. Could you run it? Would you be confident in your ability to be a home builder because you've
Uh,
worked with so many
Donnie
builders?
Builder, Donnie Builders exist to walk like big dog and roll like big stones. So I think we could pull it off. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like
Um,
you could. Yeah.
and I think we would put a dog statue on every porch, and we'd make sure that there are big stones lining the house somewhere because we exist to walk like big dogs and roll like big stones. So yeah, I think we could pull it off.
Killer. Core
In
value right there.
reality, maybe it'd be hard. I wouldn't know. I don't intend on finding out the answer to that question. So
You know, Dot BB has talked about buying a business at Business on Purpose. So it
I
would
actually like that idea internally of
love
like
it.
let's use what we know and like revolutionize this thing. But here's what I'll tell you. How
What
do
will
you
you
make
tell
more
me?
money as a builder?
Hmm.
COGS, 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 COGS. That's right. I think if we monitor those, it's really helpful. If you're a builder out there and you're one of the millions that listen to the Dickie and Donnie show and you're thinking to yourself, self, what do I do with this? You can go to businessonpurpose.com. If you want to know how healthy you are, you can go to businessonpurpose.com/healthy. On our website, you can see a contact form. We have had people contact us from this podcast, and we're happy to give all the help we can to that. If you want to sit down and look at your cost of goods report and look at this, we would be happy to share. Depending on what you're
Delighted.
asking us to do, might ask you to give us some money because if we do a full report of cost of goods, we can do that. We can host a workshop where we go in and get all your info and we just sit down and find where we're currently at. Be happy to. If you're interested in having a coach walk you through and hold you accountable to the systems you know you need to be running for your business, that's why we exist. So, Dickie, it was a joy as always to spend this time with you.
Donnie, the pleasure was all mine. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and you
I
drink
thank
a
you.
lot of Spotted Cow beer.
You can't buy it anywhere but Wisconsin, so I don't have any.
Okay. Well, you enjoy your Yingling.
I don't have any of that either. My wife made some sweet tea, so
Okay.
and
Wonderful.
my son has a second soccer game, so
Awesome. Goalie Sam.
goalie Sam. All
Yeah.
right,
All
much
right.
love, Dickie and Donnie
Peace.
out.